Welcome back to Behind the Screen. My name is Ryan, or Comrade Bubbles. As you can see beneath my face, I'm here once more. Hey, Oakwood GM. Here once more to talk about Rise of the Iron Tyrant and how you too can write content for Storypath for Trinity Continuum Adventure. A few disclaimers before we get to the meat of the episode. I do not speak for Onyx Path, nor is this project official material. All views and opinions expressed are my own. This material will be available to buy at the Storypath Nexus at a later date. I'm merely a grateful fan of the platform. I'm also disabled. I do experience muscle twitches and spasms that can worsen my natural stutter and lead to slurred speech, depending on which muscle groups are affected. I do also struggle with multiple trains of thought, so I will try to finish one before jumping onto the next. But if you raise a point in chat, I'll try to acknowledge it at the very least. Try to remember to go back to it. If I get lost and forget, please do remind me. I don't really make that big a deal of it because that's just who I am. But I have some qualifications to talk about how to write content for Storypath systems because I am a published writer for Onyx Path with published. I've written for Onyx Path Publishing in the past. I have written for the Storypath. Yep, I have written for a few of the Storypath game lines in the past. Just trying to remember what I've written for, as well as Realms of Pugmire. So I know a little bit of what I'm talking about. Before we get started, and because it is kind of pertinent to today's stream, the best place as ever to go for updates on Monday on Onyx Path stuff is the Monday meeting notes. And the pertinence this week, no more World Below backer kit that finished at over $16,000, so that's pretty cool. But if you're looking for, perhaps a bundle of Onyx Path stuff, there is a bundle of holding with the Silent Origin PDFs in, so that's pretty cool. And there's also a Fantasy Ground sale. And the Scarletlands Creature Collection Savage Worlds Adventure Edition is available in advanced PDF. But, also, I guess there's a little thing called the Onyx Path Virtual Gaming Convention happening June the 5th to the 7th of 2026, if you're interested in that kind of thing. But right now we are currently in the midst of the Storypath Nexus Game Jam that runs until 9 PM Eastern on April the 10th. Judge and popularity votes will take place between April the 11th and the 17th. And you're encouraged to stream your design process and content. Winners will be announced here on this channel, twitch.tv/TheOnyxPath, 9 PM Eastern on April the 17th. The prompt is create an adventure. Sorry. And the Monday meeting notes has a whole list of rules for you to follow. I'm not going to read them out, including the categories: overall winner, judge award, popularity award, and best original art for entries that are not using stock or Onyx Path art assets. If you are interested in that kind of thing, I have a whole playlist. I have several playlists. This is season 9. Good lord, why have they let me do this for so long? Of the show where I just talk about writing content for Onyx Path, for a variety of Onyx Path game lines, some of which are Storypath. So if you are interested in that, youtube.com/@ComradeBubbles is the place to go. This content won't be submitted as part of the game jam because it just takes too long to write when I'm on stream. But hopefully I can at least provide some useful guidance towards where you might have a problem with the process, might be able to streamline things, might be able to think about things slightly differently. The rest of the Twitch channel, rest of the schedule, all of these times in Eastern as usual. Thursday, 3 PM, Guiding the Path with Tom Moore. Kind of this show, but putting things into practice rather than theory. Scion, The Veiled Society, actual play, Friday at 9 PM, and on Monday, as ever, Trinity Continuum Adventure, Short Tales at 9 PM. The cast have had a series of misfortunes recently, and I'm sure you'll join me in wishing them all good health and the best of luck. On sale this week, there's a whole bunch of stuff actually. Storypath Ultra Tasty Bit Shadows and Mirrors. On sale last week for the World Below was Ed Greenwood. Yes, the Ed Greenwood. of the Forgotten Realms, Eddie Greenwood's Monstrous Ecology, and we also have, in honor of the Game Jam, the World Below Art and Assets, the World Below Layout Templates, Scion God Art and Assets, Scion God Layout Templates. They came from the Cyclops' Cave Art and Assets and Layout Templates, and they came from Classified Layout Templates and Art and Assets. They just mixed it up at that last point just to throw me off, but I saw what they were doing there and I did it in the right order. And a little note from me, both two books that I've contributed to are both in art direction right now. TCF, they came from Witchford Academy. The splat art has been contracted to like the sort of classes, but not. And Pugmire 2e Unleashed, the art is done. Perhaps some labels need fixing on the map, but it will be fine. So that's pretty hype for me. It's nice seeing books I've worked on making it through the pipeline. Keep downgrading my Game Jam adventure to be smaller so you can finish it by the end date. Excellent. That's an important note to know. So, realizing that your scope is creeping is perhaps unachievable is a good habit to develop. So this series of the show, we are, as I said, series 9, episode 8. Rise of the Iron Tyrant is robo dinosaurs and Nazis. Those of you who've seen the show before, you know that. You know this is an idea I'm very excited about. We're finally getting to the climax of the adventure where the robot dinosaurs and the Nazis will feature and can be punched in the face, as one should do with all Nazis. Again, just my opinion, although I'm pretty sure on its path agree, as this is their game line, and it supports it. And kind of explicitly supports it in the art, or not explicitly, but implicitly. Also, just by the nature of the material that the game line uses. Regardless, so far on this show, I have broken down Trinity Continuum and Trinity Continuum Adventure and how to play them. I'll do a very brief recap of the system for those just joining us. I've also talked about the potential importance of planning your work and writing an outline for it. Something I don't typically do, but I know other people do, and they find it very useful, so I thought I'd address that. Discussed how to deal with scope creep. Looks pointedly awkward GM. I believe we had that conversation many months ago now. And then different scene breakdowns, and last time I finished up writing Scene 2, a collection of vignettes that flows into Scene 1 as a prequel scene played afterwards. And now we're doing Scene 3, which will be the end of the adventure. Minus any appendectimal. I don't know if that's a real word. Minus any material that will be in the appendices. I don't know if I'll do that on stream, because usually that material comes... like when I'm editing the adventure, I'm like, I could do with more on this, stick in the appendix. And I'm not editing an adventure on stream. No one wants to watch me do that. No one needs to watch me do that. It's just boring. And quite honestly, talking through my process while doing it is also distracting and does mean things will slip through. However, this does mean that there will be surprise content in the final release, whenever that is, for those who have watched the entire series of the show, or who may have bought the final release and are watching the show and haven't read the PDF, because I try to include a link to the playlist in the final releases just to be like, hey, this is the adventure, sure, or this is the product, but this is what went into making it, because I think that has some genuine worth. Obviously, that's why the show exists. That's why I'm here. Hopefully, that's why you're watching. I know the YouTube numbers. This show doesn't do well on YouTube. I know the Twitch numbers. It doesn't do that well on Twitch anyway. But I'm still going to keep doing it because I have the time, and I genuinely believe that, teaching is important. People have to learn somehow, and there are things that I'm talking about that I wish someone had told me when I started freelancing or just writing in general. Not even writing with an eye towards selling the product, but just making homebrew material, planning out adventures. So hopefully this stuff is helpful, and it all has the large caveat of it works for me. It's stuff that I have personally found useful. You may find other things useful. You may find other things work better for you. this is all purely to demonstrate that there is no one-size-fits-all answer, unfortunately, when it comes to role-playing games and creating content for them. Obviously, when it comes to writing for clients, if you do want to go down the freelance route, or get hired as a full-time employee for a TTRPG publisher who hires full-time writers, I don't know any that do. I think there's like one big name that I can think of. I'm not going to name names. That does, I believe. But regardless, you need to know how to write to project briefs and outlines and things of that nature. So some of the tips here, even though, as I said, they work for me and they may not work for you, they should still have some usefulness, I suppose, for your journey. Regardless, that's, I think, enough of a babbling, burbling overview. Those of you new to the show, Storypath is a D10 based pool system. Your character sheet has a list of 9 attributes and a whole bunch of skills, and every dice roll is a combination of skill plus an attribute, not the other way around. So first tip, if you're entering the game jam and you're writing skill challenges, skill checks, whatever you want to call them, it is skill plus attribute. So each dice roll is composed of skill plus attribute. You look at your character sheet. Each of your skills and attributes has a dot rating on the character sheet. Count how many dots you have in the 2 named qualifiers, I guess. That tells you how many dice to roll. You roll that many dice. You count every result of an 8 or higher, and that tells you how many successes you have. And I'm having to be very careful with my words right now, because in Storypath Ultra things have a different name. But for the purposes of Trinity Continuum and Trinity Continuum Adventure, tells you how many successes you have, and 8 is the usual target number. Things can modify that. Tells you how many successes you have, and those successes are used to buy off the difficulty of an action on a 1-for-1 basis. So if the difficulty is 2, you need 2 successes. Difficulty of the action, simply how difficult the action is. Any leftover successes can be used to pay off any complications on the action. Complications are things that narratively and mechanically impact the character as a result of the action, but cannot override the success of the action. And then any further successes they just make you look cooler. You may end up in a situation where you can buy off the complication but not the failure to make it suck slightly less. But an important part of the Storypath system in general, really, is the concept of momentum, in that when you fail a roll, something still happens. That's consolation. And one of those things is momentum, which is a meta currency that you can use to spend on a variety of effects. Some of which are like power, character abilities, and some of which are take narrative control over a tiny bit of the scene. This is all obviously very vague, broad overview. The specifics vary from game line to game line. Not game lime. That's a fruit that's up for it. Game line to game line, and even different supplements within a game line have different ways of handling the core mechanics based on the vibe, the feel, etc. of the supplement itself. Trinity Continuum Adventure, always with the exclamation mark, is a pulp adventure supplement for the Trinity Continuum game line. So we're referencing Robo Dinosaurs and Nazis, Lost Worlds, blimps, that kind of thing. Indiana Jones is the huge pop culture mainstay reference point for Pulp Fiction, not the Quentin Tarantino film. But there are obviously many others. I believe The Lost World by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle falls under Pulp, and I guess The Extraordinary Gentleman by extension. Not by extension, just in general. So that's the vibe we're going for. So far, we've had a party on a blimp and the blimp crash, and a trek through the jungle. And now my outline calls for Scene 3, Combat. Because for those not familiar, Storypath has 3 different types of scene. wind. Intrigue, which is the social side of things. Procedural, which is your investigation side of things. And action adventure, which is the action adventure side of things. Action adventure is the combat rule set. And because this is intended as an introductory adventure for Trinity Continuum Adventure, 3 scenes, 1 for each aspect of the game. And here we are. We've dealt with the intrigue and the procedural, and now we're on the combat, on the action adventure scene. So this, I have no idea how long this show is going to go. I'm going to aim for at least an hour, but I got some terrible news yesterday, and I'm still dealing with the mental health ramifications of that. I'm just tired anyway. I was at a convention over the weekend tabling, and I'm autistic, and it was just a lot for me to deal with. So, we'll take it out as we go. I'm hoping to get at least 500 words written, chipping away at the goal, but we will absolutely see how we go. So, I'm going to hydrate. I'm going to encourage you all in the audience to ask questions as and when they arise. The writing is simply there for something for me to discuss as an example, and also something to do when there are no questions. But please do feel free to ask questions as and when they arise. It doesn't have to be about the adventure that I'm writing, as you can see from next to my face. Anything related to playing or running Onyx Path role-playing games. Or role-playing games in general, but I will generally try to loop it back to the topic, because this is Onyx Path's Twitch channel, and that just seems the most respectful and honourable thing to do. Suspicious Discord message is suspicious. Regardless, PCs find my outline reads thusly. The PCs find a map of the jungle on one of the dead Nazis with a secret manufacturing base marked on it. The PCs must infiltrate the base and shut down the project. The PCs fall to Nazi plans. Or do they? The approach 500 words determines how alert the soldiers in the base are. Oh, and thank you for the good luck, Awkward Jim. The base 500 words determines how many reinforcements there are in the showdown, and the showdown 500 words. Robo T-Rex piloted by Nazi officer in secret base, which is the seed of the entire adventure, and I'm still happy with it. Okay, so I go to my actual notes, and I believe I've started each chapter off with an introduction of like an overview, so that the story guide, I got it right that time, the story guide knows what the scene is involving. As well as some page references for the type of scene that it is. I could just copy paste. That would be much easier, because I need this line as well. View navigation pane. Boom. I think we should probably explain this takes place immediately after chapter 2. Also, be prepared for typos and whatnot. I've been having problems with my keyboard recently, and like trying to find a more comfortable position to type on it. So the keys are not where I'm used to them being, so I'm going to hit the wrong key reasonably often. This takes place immediately after chapter 1, 2, after chapter 1, the Zeppelin. The rest of that is not needed, because that was just a, hey, chapter 2 takes place before chapter 1. Right, I need to know what, I need to refresh myself about what they find. Briefcase of Nazi papers, fantastic. This chapter takes place immediately after chapter 1, The Zeppelin. And some characters may receive injury conditions. Injury conditions, what? Injury conditions based on the results of the roll they made at the end of that scene. The page reference for the roll that I'm referencing, just so that the story guide knows where to look. The characters find briefcase of Nazi papers that lead them to a base hidden in the depths of the jungle. Nazi base is being used to research robotics and I guess remote control robots. Let's say robotics. That's the rolled R. I'm so sorry. Being used to research robotics and remote control devices. And the characters rolling R's is a useful talent. Yeah, it is. I just don't need to. And it's just because I've just been listening to a lot of audio dramas with Sylvester McCoy's Seventh Doctor, Eighth Doctor, Eighth Doctor's Paul McGann. And he rolls his R's a lot as the Doctor, so it's just echolalia. I know what it is. Hey Ari, how you doing? I hope you're feeling better. The characters are given the opportunity to destroy the base. Destroy the base and the research within. This scene, nope. Scene focuses on the action adventure rules. What page are those rules in the rulebook? Story path system. Page 79 to 81. Note that spicy N dash connecting the letters because it's a range. And page 101 to... I'm just going to say 129 so that there's a full... Because the Robo T-Rex is almost certainly going to be classed as a vehicle, so we'll say 81. What did I say, chat? 101 to 129, I think it was. Yes. In case you're curious, if you're typing and you want an N dash, you hit. You're holding the left Alt key, 0150. The M dash, obviously a telltale sign of generative AI use. It's not. It's really not. Is Alt 0151. Again, if anyone needs to ever know what those alt codes are. Always consult a style guide around the use of those dashes. Some people prefer spaces on either side of them, particularly the M dash. N dashes for number ranges here are unspaced. Seems to be kind of a standard style guide feature. But regardless, if you're looking into freelancing, I cannot stress enough the importance of checking your employer's style guide, because it just saves a lot of time if you do it right the first time. This scene focuses on the action adventure rules. but incorporate. Let's just say it focuses on the action adventure rules, because focus means not exclude, just emphasize. When doing freelance with Path, are there preferred header names for different sections? Not that I can think of. So often, obviously this varies developer to developer, but often you will have the developer, I mean always, the developer, certainly in my experience, provides you with an outline where they already have the header names like written down. If the names don't exist, largely it's just what seems right. And if you're ever unsure, the developers are, in my experience, very happy to answer questions that you might have about the project. So when sorry, I've done work where I'm trying not to name books for NDA purposes, but like I've done work where it was just here is this chapter, you're in charge of X number of words for it, go crazy. And you know, that was very much I'm in charge of setting the header names, and if there are any problems with the division or the headers themselves, then the developer will highlight that in the red line stage after they've had a chance to read it and you know, provide feedback. Sometimes, obviously, it's a lot easier. So for the monster work that I keep doing for Eddie for Realms of Pugmire, obviously the header there is just the monster name. Very, very simple. Just trying to think if there's any other instances. I think that's kind of largely it. If they're not provided, they're happy to answer questions. If you know, they're happy for suggestions to be made, and if they have a problem, they'll let you know. And if not, you know, it's fine. When it comes to stuff like this, homebrew content, obviously there's a lot more freedom because you're the one in charge of it. But I would say, particularly with things like this, if you are writing for a purpose, which obviously you are if you're submitting to the Game Jam or writing something that you're going to sell, the headers should make sense to someone other than you. And in that instance, it's always make it painfully obvious what the header is referring to, or just keep it simple. Hence why I've just named the vignettes. I've just named the sections. I haven't named the chapters yet because I don't want those to count. I don't want those counting towards the word count. But the chapters will be Chapter 1, the Zeppelin, sorry. Chapter 2, the jungle, and Chapter 3, the base, or whatever. Just so that the story guide can look through the bookmarks in the PDF and know instantly which scene they want to reference and where it is. This scene focuses on the action adventure rules. The characters infiltrate a hidden Nazi base, during which they may discover further clues, as described in the procedurals. I guess. Oh god, I've hit a button. As described in the procedural section of the core rulebook. Can be used to further develop this adventure or provide story seeds for future adventures. You needn't describe every corridor and room with within the base. Oh, you know what? Let's not say that. Adventure doesn't include every room or event that could happen in the base. Simply the most important. You, as the story guide, are encouraged to build upon what's presented here and create new information where it feels most impactful. If you're uncomfortable doing so, this adventure contains everything you need to know. Everything you need to run it. I polish that up, might change it, who knows? But this goes back to why I'm including read aloud text a lot that I personally don't use, but it's it's a nice tool for story guides who are less comfortable or confident at improvising and making things up, which I realise is redundant after having said improvising. But here we are. I'm talking off the cuff, so to speak, which is also another way of improvising. Haha. Do I need to add any more guidance to this? Probably not. Got an overview of the scene, and then an explanation of the rules that will be used, that will need referencing. So I think we're okay. The approach. At some point, chat, it's entirely unrelated to what I'm doing, but at some point I do want to run my Game Jam entry from a few years ago on the channel, because I think that might be cool. Am I more of an improvising GM, or do I try to have a lot pre-planned? I'm more of an improv GM. I try to pre-plan names, especially in settings where names have very specific conventions to follow. So naturally I did that for my homebrew setting. I regret every decision I've ever made leading up to that point. I will prepare names because I'm terrible at naming characters on the fly. Particularly if, as I said, there are naming conventions and things need to be consistent. I generally have a good idea of where the session could end or could go, purely because I've been playing with the same group for what year are we in? 2026? Nearly a decade. So that's cool. So once you play with people that long, you get a good idea. You get a general idea of where things might go. My attitude towards session air quotes planning is very loose. What I tend to do is, try to recap what happened at the end of last session, so I know where we're at in terms of the narrative. And then just follow what my players want to do and improvise on top of that. If they're investigating a building, I generally, as I'm doing here, have some of the important rooms planned out, and then everything else is just building on what occurs to me in the moment, or building on what the players appear to be thinking is most important in their investigation of the area. Obviously, things like dungeons for the dragon game, those are generally pre-planned, but everything serves a purpose in the narrative rather than just this is a random encounter. I still, when I do encounter a new technique or way of handling things at the table, I will experiment. I don't believe that will ever know, every aspect of the GM's craft, story guide craft if you prefer. So I'm still learning. I still kind of read how other people, story guide, GM, what have you, and shamelessly steal what they do to see if it works for me and makes my games better, and incorporate it where I can and change it, beat it into submission, things of that nature. But generally, I'm more improv because that's my comfort zone. I very much like the performance side of improving as a GM, and testing and like forcing my brain to think of things as and when. And also, I just don't really have the time to pre-plan a lot of stuff. And I think I've mentioned this before, but if it's written down, I also, because of my probable autism, because if it's written down, it has to be that way. So I really struggle with even if I'm the one that's written it down. So I try to allow myself the grace to be flexible by planning the core of what I need, usually just character names, maybe like, hey, this is an encounter that seems likely here, so I'm going to plan that in advance, just to make sure it's not just we're all going to stand here in a line and punch each other, and then take it from there. I recognize the privilege that I'm in, where I get to work on role-playing games, both for myself and other people. So I am exposed to a wide variety of not only just game styles, but mechanic styles. And I use that experience to do a lot of homebrew mechanics in encounters. And sometimes it's a one-off. This is an experiment, we'll see how it goes. Or it's a one-off because it really makes sense in this instance. But yeah, TLDR, mostly improvised, specific mechanics and character names largely pre-planned, because otherwise it just goes a bit weird, and the game slows down and suffers for it. Equally, I've been doing this for like 16 years now, so I'm comfortable with that approach. If you need to pre-plan, that's fine. Do whatever you want to do. I don't want anyone to think that the improv GM is the only way to go. The important thing is to find out what works for you and the balance of improv and pre-planning that works for you. And if that's 100% pre-planning, that's fine. If it's 100% improv, that's fine. If you're an improv if you are an improv heavy GM, take a lot of notes, because you will need them. Hopefully that answered the question. Anyway, I have 300-ish words to cover the approach. The burning wreck of the Zeppelin. Illuminates the jungle around it. Declaring it carved. Carved? It's eating the jungle. Declaring it carved during its rapid descent is an arrow. Straight line of smoldering vegetation. Pointing directly towards the airfield. Sorry, 1 second. Because of the terrible news yesterday, I didn't sleep terribly well. Where do we go from here? Around you is slowly returning to its normal. Nope. I guess that's where the read loud text ends for the moment. Other passengers on the Zeppelin are Injured to varying degrees. But miraculously, there were very few fatalities. And the way back to the airfield and the safety. One day, Shini's Path will make an NPC YouTube with your name and Curseborn ties horribly. I mean, it might happen. I ran a. Oh gosh, it was like the first time I did GMing for anyone, like for strangers. Here in the UK, there is a charitable competition that happens. It's the Student Nationals Role Playing and Wargaming Championship, and all money raised goes to charity, and it's the prizes and things. And I ran what was then New World of Darkness First Edition one shot over the course of the day, in which I killed myself and my then housemate. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. That was a Hunt of the I'm gonna get this wrong. Hunt of the Vigil, I believe, in NWAD, and then Chronicles. Hunt of the Vigil one shot that actually had character progression in the one shot, which apparently not many people were doing, so that's cool. But I took the opportunity because it was played over 2 sessions, morning and afternoon. I took the opportunity to have the afternoon session be like the morning session was how you became hunters, and the afternoon session was you're established hunters. Now this is a case for you to investigate, which, as I say, apparently not many people do, and that my players really enjoyed. So, Awkward GM, if I ever run a Curseborn one shot here on the channel, I will try to remember to kill you off in a suitably horrible fashion. I have precedence, and I will do it again. I can't be stopped. The signposted. I mean, I could just get meta and have it like a, all of us Twitch, all of the Honest Path Twitch crew are dead, and Travis has to investigate for some reason. I don't know. Just have a TC Assassins one shot where the assassin has, where they're just assassinating the Twitch streamers. We know too much. We've been spoiling too much. And Honest Path have put a hit out on us. Anyway. Characters can open briefcase. See, now I'm also thinking of a TC Assassins, like, PvP brawl between us all, where we all just roll up an assassin and try to kill each other. In-game, obviously, I'm not advocating murder. The characters can open the briefcase they discovered to find a map of the nearby jungle. Nazi base on the riverbank a few miles away. As well as blueprints for a life-size metallic Tyrannosaurus Rex. Oh, hey, for those who don't know how, this is entirely unrelated, but so, Tyrannosaurus Rex, obviously everyone knows, it's one of the few dinosaurs where everyone knows the actual scientific Latin name. The Triceratops is Triceratops horridus. Fun fact, that was just the name they gave it. But because of how scientific literature works, both would be shortened to T, T-Rex, but it also becomes T. horridus. And it seems obvious in hindsight, but I didn't realize that until reading a book the other day. And then I was like, what is this Tyrannosaurus horridus? Oh, you mean Triceratops. So there's your fun fact. That is why if you ever see T-Rex, it is horrendously wrong. It should be T period Rex because it's an abbreviation. Anyway, that's your grammar lesson for the day over. I suppose blueprints for a life-size metallic T-Rex. And what else? What else would be useful and be like, hey, this is where you need to go. You got where the thing is, what's there. Let's say a coded message. Clipped your pitch of TC Assassins versus OPP Twitch streamers. Oh no, what have I done? All I'm saying is the virtual con's coming up. That's all I'm saying. Right. Let us go with blueprints and the message. Both require a difficulty. Both require a character, I should say. Pass a difficulty 2. Oh, you know what? Everyone asked about T-Rex, not asked about E-Rex. / HRT joke. Hey, I can make this joke because I am on HRT, but it's not E-Rex after a while. Wink. Anyway. That's where I'm at right now mentally. Blueprints and the message both require characters to pass a difficulty 2 roll. Format users. Technology. Plus intellect, and the latter uses enigmas plus intellect. Hey, transhumor for those of you in the audience, I guess. It's great. Should caveat that with I'm on HRT while the UK government allows me to be. Anyway, blueprints reveal the... I don't know, I've capitalized Rex there. There we go. Pretty sure it's not. Just double checking. Tyrant Lizard King. Yeah. Okay, so. Blueprints reveal the T-Rex to be... Oh, oops. To be a robot capable of limited independent action, as well as containing technology related to remote control. Remote control? To remote control capabilities. As repeating the word capable. So remote control devices. The message details the Project Iron Tyrant. Message details, Project Iron Tyrant's goal. The construction of an army of metallic dinosaurs. Can be used as shock troops. Uh, 126 words left. Sorry, 125 words left. And save. Is anything else needed there? Don't think so. Oops. Project details, message details, Project Iron Tyrant's goal, and that it is nearly completed. There we go. Is an order to return to base. And details Project Iron Tyrant's goal. Well, oh, hang on. There's an order to return to base because Project Iron Tyrant. I can't bother to figure out the German for that. Project Eisen something, I guess. Is nearly complete, and details of the project's goal. And that then makes this an unspaced, I believe. You know what? Comma. Colon. Even construction army structure. There we go. So that's why the agent was on the Zeppelin. Right. Hang on. I believe I had. Okay, so I think I'm gonna need to have an introduction. Yeah, I need something to be like, hey, this is what you're doing, because I, as of yet, have not included a reason for the characters to be in the jungle. That is fine. That can happen before the... Well, I guess technically it should happen. Here. Chronologically, sorry. Here-ish. Chronologically, the first part of the adventure. So I'm going to have to rework Chapter 2 in editing to give myself those extra words to build upon the quarry. That's a problem for the future. And therefore give the characters a reason to follow this map to a hidden Nazi base. As the characters make their way through the jungle. They see signs of tracks in the mud, discarded cigarette butts, and various other signs of human occupation. They don't see anyone until they reach the edge of the clearing where they find a blood-lit bunker entrance with 2 guards standing outside. Capacitating the guards requires a difficulty 2. The athletics or survival. I believe those are both skills in this game. Where's my character sheet? Go through the appendix. Yeah. I guess larceny would also work. Let's see what the rulebook provides in terms of guidance. Nope. 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 Maybe? Nope. Because I'm looking in the wrong rulebook. I am such an idiot, chat. Okay, I found the right rulebook. We're all good. Does larceny specifically cover just sleight of handy things? Nope, cover stealth. There we go. Difficulty 2, athletics. Larceny or survival plus dexterity roll. I like to provide a spread of skills to choose from where relevant, purely because that means that if you don't have, like, if you haven't built the character in a specific way, you're not being left out. You know, you don't feel like you've made a mistake. Incapacitating guards requires a there is a one complication that if not bought off alerts the guards inside base be below, but doesn't bring them to the, doesn't, you know, summon them to the entrance. Now, obviously, some groups might want all the guards to appear at the entrance so that they can take care of them in one go, but here we are. I guess failing the roll summon. It's just worth spelling it out sometimes. Summons the guards within the base. With 2 arriving at the start of each round. Okay, 501 words done. Sweet. Now to go through what I've written, make sure it makes sense before moving on to the next section. Chronologically, this chapter takes place immediately after Chapter 1, the Zeppelin, and some characters may receive injury conditions based on the result of the roll they made at the end of that scene. Review the characters, find a briefcase of Nazi papers, lead them to a base hidden in the depths of the jungle. The Nazi base is being used to research robotics and remote control devices. Thank you, Ari. I appreciate that support. The characters are given the opportunity to destroy the base and the research within. The scene focuses on the action-adventure rules, those page numbers provided. The characters infiltrate a hidden Nazi base during which they may discover further clues, as described in the procedural section of the core rulebook. It can be used to further develop this adventure or provide story seeds for future adventures. This adventure doesn't include every room or event that could happen in the base, simply the most important. You as the story guide are encouraged to build upon what's presented here and create new information that feels most impactful. If you're uncomfortable doing so, this adventure contains everything you need to run it. The approach. The burning wreck of the Zeppelin illuminates the jungle around it, declaring it carved during its rapid descent is an arrow straight line. That doesn't make sense. Clearing it carved during its rapid descent is an arrow straight line of smoldering vegetation. Yeah, let's just say the arrow straight line of smoldering vegetation it carved during its descent. Points directly towards the airfield. And this is why you should read things aloud, because it helps you check the flow. The other passengers on the Zeppelin are injured to varying degrees, but miraculously there are very few fatalities, and the way back to the airfield and the safety is clearly signposted. The characters can open the briefcase they discovered to find a map of the nearby jungle showing an art space on the riverbank a few miles away, as well as blueprints for a life-size metallic Tyrannosaurus Rex and a coded message. Just in case. Because we're going to be referencing T-Rex a reasonable amount throughout the rest of the rules. The blueprints and the message both require a character to pass a difficulty 2 roll. The form uses technology plus intellect. Studying the blueprints and the message. There we go. The form uses technology plus intellect. That uses enigmas plus intellect. The blueprints reveal the T-Rex to be a robot capable of limited independent action as well as containing technology related to remote control devices. The message stated a few days ago is in order to return to base because Project Iron Tyrant is nearly complete and details the project's goal, the construction of an army of metallic dinosaurs that can be used as shock troops. As the characters make their way through the jungle, they see tracks in the mud, discarded cigarette butts, and various other signs of human occupation. They don't see anyone until they reach the edge of the clearing, where they find a floodlit bunker entrance with 2 guards standing outside. Now, you may notice, those of you who are astute, that that's basically just read aloud text. The trick is, it really is. It tells you everything you need to know without going on too long. However, obviously, it's a journey through a jungle. You might want to pepper in some other things there. That if you've got ideas for little vignettes of things they could find, or warning about what is about to happen. Incapacitating the guards requires a difficulty 2 athletics, larceny, or survival plus dexterity roll. There is a level 1 complication that, if not bought off, alerts the guards inside the base, see below, but doesn't summon them to the entrance. Failing the roll summons the guards within the base, with 2 arriving at the start of each round. Hell yeah, 500 words after the editing pass. I dig it. Obviously, 1, as I said before, say it again, you should never actually edit your own work. And 2, don't do it. Don't leave it at just 1. Do several editing passes. I know it's not ideal, but I typically do 2, put it through layout, and then do another editing pass after it's been put through layout, because sometimes seeing it in situ, so to speak, and not just in a Word document, makes it easier to spot errors or inconsistencies or other problems. I'm just evaluating how I'm feeling and stuff I've got to do today. So for those who don't know, I mean, you can clearly tell I'm British. I'm based in the UK, and this makes no difference to the UK audience. But here in the UK, as of the time of recording, we haven't yet changed our clocks back. The US changed at the start of the month. We changed at the end of the month. So this show started an hour earlier for me than normal, so I had an hour less to get housework done today. And I'm thinking, based on my mental health, or based on how I'm feeling mentally, and yes, my mental health because of the aforementioned terrible news yesterday, that I might stop the stream here, get my housework done, reply to a couple of freelance-related emails, and then probably start streaming on my channel. I think it's probably the best thing to do, so I'm going to go through the outro. Yeah, let's do the outro. Why not? So, if you have enjoyed this admittedly quite brief stream today, apologies, but I still technically am burned out and I'm trying to work back up to doing the full 2 hours of writing on stream, but you know, life happens and stuff gets in the way of that plan. I want this show to be sustainable for me in terms of a mental health perspective. That is why I took a year's break, and it kind of helped. So, if you've caught the end of the show and want to catch the beginning, or if you just want to recap, this episode will be available instantly on the Twitch channel on twitch.tv/theonyxpath. If you're not a subscriber, you can do one of a couple of things. You can wait a week, at which point you'll be able to watch it on the Twitch channel. You can wait a week, at which point you'll be able to watch it on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/@ComradeBubbles, where it will be in a playlist with all of the other episodes in this series, all focused on this one adventure. There are other series focused on other things that I've written for the Onyx Path community content platforms. If you're interested in Trinity Continuum, I'd like to specifically point out Horrors of the Continuum, which I made a horror toolkit for Trinity Continuum games, as well as explaining the ideas behind the mechanics. I'm quite proud of that still. I'm still really happy with how that turned out. Or, if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account to get a Prime Gaming account, which gives you one free subscription a month. Sorry, one free subscription every 30 days, I believe it is. That subscription gives you the same benefits of a Tier 1 subscription, and it gives the channel the same benefits as a Tier 1 subscription, the only difference being it does not auto-renew. You must remember to do it yourself if you want to keep supporting the same channel. As I mentioned at the start of the episode, the best place to go for information on the wide variety of things Onyx Path are up to is the Monday meeting notes. That's what it sounds like. They have a meeting every Monday, and they're the notes from said meeting. The pertinent information, right now we're halfway through the Story Path Nexus Game Jam. That ends 9 p.m. Eastern, April the 10th, and the Monday meeting notes gives all of the rules you need to follow, as well as breakdown of the categories. But winners will be announced on this channel at 9 p.m. on April the 17th, with the prompt of Create and Adventure. So, this is very apt for that. I mentioned it during the stream as well, but the Onyx Path Virtual Gaming Convention will be June 5th to the 7th, 2026. I would be very surprised if my joking pitch about either Travis investigating the Twitch crew being assassinated in TC Assassins or a TC Assassin face-off is featured in that. I can hope, obviously, because I think they have legs as an idea, but more adventure on that will be coming further down. More information on that will be coming further down the line. While the post roll will detail what is left on the channel this week, as a reminder, these times are all in Eastern. Guiding the Path, Thursday at 3 p.m. That is basically this show, but putting everything into practice with Tom Moore and Storypath stuff. Storypath Ultra Games. Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, The Veiled Society is a Scion actual play. And Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern, is a Short Tales is a Trinity Continuum Adventure actual play. And on sale this week, the Storypath Ultra Tasty Bit, Shadows and Mirrors, as well as art assets and layout templates for The World Below, Scion God. They came from the Cyclops' cave, and they came from Classified. If you do use any of those layout templates, I recorded an episode of this very show on how to use the templates, and I'm including the link here in the Twitch chat for completion's sake, but I will try to remember to include the link in the YouTube description. And addressing the question from Unstubborn in chat, do I have a submission for the Game Jam this year? I do not. I am very busy with contract work, burnout, and desperately trying to find a sustainable way to make money. So I just do not have the time to submit to the Game Jam this year, unfortunately. I remain proud of Begin Again, and I remain proud of my entry to the fiction contest that ran last year. Alas, I won nothing last year, but I'm still happy with what I wrote. I'm still proud of it. It was nice to do creative writing for a change. I will be back probably about an hour and a half time on my Twitch channel. It's just twitch.tv/ComradeBubbles. I'm not doing RPG stuff, but I'm always happy to talk about RPG stuff. I mostly do video game playthrough, let's plays and things over there. Try to get those sweet 100%. So if you're interested in hanging out, talking, chatting while I play video games, that's the place to do it, but you don't have to. But I think that is it. So I should be back, in theory at the very least, in 2 weeks' time on the 7th of April, where we'll keep writing the, a Nazi base and traversing a Nazi base and leading it all the way up to the final encounter. So please do stick around. Keep an eye on my social media channels. I'm Comrade Bubbles most places. If you're not on the Honest Path Discord server, Nightbot's been dropping the link throughout the show. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can probably rewind the video till you can see the Discord link in the chat box directly beneath my face. And I think that's it. Can't think of anything else. So, until next time, please do stay safe. Please do stay healthy. Please do stay wholesome. Much love to you all. Goodbye. And if there are any lingering questions, I will be in the chat for a few minutes while the post roll happens.